The Eagles are looking to avoid the upset this weekend, but will have to do it without one of their key players on defense. Plus, Saquon Barkley can do something no Eagle has ever done, and DeVonta Smith's return might fix the Birds' biggest issue. Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Let's be honest here, the Carolina Panthers, they're not a good football team, and the Philadelphia Eagles, at least right now, are, which should be enough to secure a double-digit comfortable home win for the Birds on Sunday. And with that being said, the word trap game has been thrown around a ton this week as Carolina is fresh off of 2 impressive losses. Yes, losses, but still, against the Chiefs and Bucks, and they're seemingly playing their best football of the season, according to Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio.
Just in the full operation of their offense, I think they've done a good job of coaching him. They have a really good running back in Hubbard. They feature him. And they're running play action and boots off of that run game. So I think they've done a good job in their entire offense of finding out who they are within his quarterback abilities.
Now, of course, every weekend we do a guess the opposing team's quarterback stats to win a Thomas Mott Show t-shirt. So today, Bryce Young stats, subscribe, hit the like button down below, passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions. The thing is, though, this week, how about a 10-yard cushion? If you're within 10 yards on the passing yards, and obviously get touchdowns and interceptions correct, then you're going to win. Since no one's won this yet, I want one of you guys to actually do it. Comment down below. Now, naturally, any game Philadelphia is favored in can technically be a trap game against a subpar, mediocre team, but actually turns out Philadelphia does have somewhat of a history of being double-digit favorites and losing in the past 25 years. With the most recent time, Philadelphia entered Sunday as more than a 10-point favorite being just last year when the Eagles were taking on the 3-12 Arizona Cardinals. They came to the link and had 15 more first downs and 174 more yards than an Eagles team that was in complete freefall and naturally pulled off the upset. Something clearly guys like A.J. Brown have definitely not forgotten.
We can look back on last year. We lost to Arizona. You know, they weren't doing too good last year, and we lost. You know, but you treat everybody the same. You prepare the same. You put in the work the same. You know, so no, we're not taking nobody lightly.
Likewise, it was 2 seasons ago whenever the Commanders rolled into town as, again, double-digit underdogs, and sure, got the help of the no-call face mask here and the BG roughing the passer, and you get the point, don't sleepwalk versus the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. And at this point, if you're saying, Thomas, they're going to blow them out, doesn't really matter, how about some extra motivation for taking on the Cats by listening to Jadeveon Clowney? Yes, this Jadeveon Clowney is a Carolina Panther, and he has some history of being a little bit shady playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and when asked by the media on Friday, he still admitted he absolutely hates us Eagle fans.
Oh my God, they probably got. I know they love their fans, but I'm sure teams don't love their fans. We can't stand their fans, but Philly fans they love their team. That's all I can tell you about Philly. They love their team, and they throw stuff at you. They do everything, and they talk the most junk out of any fans ever dealt with throughout my career. So,
is this one where you leave the family behind?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's cold up there, so I'm sure they ain't trying to go. So.
Also, with New Year's right around the corner, I'm sure all of us are wanting to eat healthier, get in better shape, but sometimes making sure you get the right nutrients and vitamins can be easier said than done, which is why today's sponsor, Huel, is here to help. Huel is no prep meals that don't compromise your health. I've been using Huel for about the past few weeks, especially when I've been away from my kitchen and in a rush. All you need is some cold water, 2 scoops of powder, and shake. You'll have a convenient and nourishing meal in seconds. My personal favorite is Huel's Black Edition, which is their low-carb, high-protein powdered meal. It has 40 grams of protein plus 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's plant-based, gluten-free, and the best part, has no artificial sweeteners. Oh, and Huel products were designed by nutritionists and dietitians to give your body everything it needs from a healthy meal in an extremely easy and convenient way. In short, you basically get a high-quality, nutritious breakfast or lunch for just $2.50 a meal. If you want to save time, save money, and eat healthy, then use promo code ThomasMott at checkout for 15% off your first Huel order, plus get a free t-shirt and a free shaker. That's a $40 value. That's code ThomasMott for 15% off your first order, which is all detailed and linked down below in the description box. Having a busy life shouldn't stop you from eating healthy, so check out Huel today. Now, in terms of the injury news, there's some good and then there's some bad. And starting with the bad, looks like no Reed Blankenship and no Sidney Brown, who again missed practice on Friday and have missed all week, and so likely out on Sunday. This means undrafted free agent safety Tristin McCollum, who's played pretty well at times this season, again, kind of here and there when Blankenship went out with an injury, he'll get his first official start at safety, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Lost in all the noise of training camp was the fact that Tristin McCollum had quietly a very good training camp. Almost felt like in previous editions of the Eagles, when they didn't have as many good safeties, McCollum might have actually competed for a starting job. The problem was Philadelphia had about 19 defensive backs at training camp, and so again, lost in the shuffle, but I think he can definitely play and maybe at a high level on Sunday. Now, flipping over to the good injury news, Darius back at practice all week long. He practiced again on Friday. He will be out there on Sunday. And yes, DeVonta Smith, he will play as well, a full participant in practice on Friday, also on Thursday, and was still out there on Wednesday. So had a full week of practice. He seems just fine. And I think his wide receiver running mate is pretty pumped to get number 6 back out there.
Yeah, man, I miss Smitty a lot, man. I can't wait for him to be out there. He does a lot, man. He does a lot. He's like basically our signal caller. When we come in the huddle, we go to him, and just his play. You know, his presence. His presence will be felt when he gets back on the field. So I'm excited for him. I know the team is excited to have him back too.
Now, as for this quote-unquote hot Panthers team right now, which, again, played well the past 2 weeks, but didn't technically actually win, they're still going to trot out the worst run defense in the NFL and the second worst pass defense in the league. And Saquon Barkley is probably licking his chops as he's just 607 yards away from the NFL single-season rushing record and basically needs 100-yard-plus games over the final 5 to actually break the record. Thankfully, though, 4 of his next 5 opponents ranked 27th or worse in the league in defending the run, so I think it's kind of possible. Oh, and Saquon is just 106 rushing yards away from Shady's single-season rushing record, so a little extra motivation, definitely a chance to break the record this week, and if not, all but guaranteed versus Pittsburgh the following. But of course, don't let me saying this is the worst run defense and the second worst pass defense deter you from the fact that this is still an NFL football game, and as Jalen Hurts put it on Friday, stay focused because anyone can beat you any given week.
Their entire team is playing well. You know, they're a really good football team. You know, they're a really good football team, playing fast, flying to the ball. The DBs are really good, you know, in the front seven. They create some disruption there, so, you know, you got to come out ready to play.
Yeah, he throws the ball really well. You know, he can escape the pocket. You know, so we gotta try and contain him, and when he gets outside the pocket, we gotta stay on our coverage down the field. You know, and create tight windows. You know, he can put the ball really anywhere on the field from any hash. You know, so we got to be tight in coverage.
And honestly, losing to the Panthers would all but guarantee the fact Philadelphia would not be the number 1 seed in the NFC, which, as we know, go to the link versus playing in the Lions Dome, it makes a big difference. Still, though, as of right now, even if Philadelphia does win on Sunday versus Carolina, they have a massive uphill battle to actually get the 1 seed because of Detroit upsetting the Packers, or I guess beating the Packers on Thursday night. Just so we're clear, in order for Philadelphia to actually get the number 1 seed, they must first win out and then have Detroit lose 2 of their next 5. Any 2, doesn't matter. They have to lose 2 games. Philadelphia loses none. So, yeah, the 1 seed is going to be a little difficult, which naturally myself and Josh Davis talked about during our weekly live stream and, of course, previewed the Panthers matchup as well. Hope you guys enjoy.
It's the worst team in the NFL in the first quarter. Efficiency-wise, offensively.
It's awful.
The worst team. It'd be one thing if we said they're like 20th or 25th, but they're the
Right.
worst team in the NFL. And you go like, yet this team is 10-2. So like the positives of that are, you know what? You're doing what it takes to win. Granted, are you and I always sitting there and going like, okay, well, first quarter didn't really have a whole lot. There's not much scoring. We're gonna have to hopefully kick it into gear here. Maybe I just put that on you. Maybe it's your ultimate jinx. You're calling all of the first quarters, and so
It might be.
That's the
It
issue.
might be.
And all of a sudden we jump into no, but the
might
third
be.
quarter was terrible to your point, so it didn't matter, even though I was doing
It's
the
true.
third quarter.
It's true.
I don't know. It's just the most fascinating thing, and like you said, within Kellen Moore, he even was kind of dumbfounded in a way because like we talked about things, we're trying new-ish. Should we script things? Should we go away from scripting? And just because obviously they have a they have a
Right.
fairly good track record after these scripted plays to say, well, how is the defense playing us? Now what should we do? But for some reason, you would feel like through 12 games, 13 weeks of the season that you would already be there, and they haven't. So, yes, Smitty being back should help. Hopefully this is one of those games, and we can get into it here in a bit, but, Carolina Panthers, it's a home game for Philly. Yes, they're playing better, but it should be one where you just take care of business early. Don't mess around. Don't let them hang around the game. I've seen some people throwing out there like, is it a trap game of sorts? You could always make that notion with Pittsburgh and everything, but with the way this team is focused and locked in, I don't know. I don't know if I could fully buy into the trap game of sort.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really been boosting Carolina's stock the past couple of weeks is the fact they almost beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But that's kind of the thing, is a lot of people have almost beaten Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because the Patrick Mahomes offense particularly has not been that great, and that vaunted defense is no longer the top defense in the National Football League. That was kind of the MO for the Chiefs the first couple of games of this season was, well, but the defense is playing really well. Not necessarily the case the past few weeks. And listen, Bryce Young is playing much better than he had, especially pre-benching. And now he's come back. He's making some unbelievable throws. But you go to the fact that Chuba Hubbard is a legit number one option in the National Football League, just got extended because he's playing so well. And the receiving core, Adam Thielen comes back, Xavier Legette, the rookie, is playing well. They have pieces to be a decent football team, decent being like the 25th best football team. They're not the 32nd best football team. They're playing better. But with that being said, all we complain about with Philadelphia is the first quarter, and yet they were up 2 scores in the fourth quarter against the Baltimore Ravens, which is nuts. It's just like I saw on WIP today, and I actually quote tweeted it because it was so funny. It was it's one of the afternoon shows. I don't know. They all kind of run together, but talking about is the Eagles offense good enough to be a playoff winning offense, or is it just a good regular season offense? It's just so nonsense, right? It's the whole idea as if you get to the playoffs and then suddenly the Eagles offense is just not going to be able to move the football at all. They have played really good football teams over the course of 8 weeks and had zero trouble except for, a weird fumble call by Saquon Barkley against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's basically been it, right? That's basically been the one game where it was kind of close and it was like, whoa, maybe go down to the wire here. And yet that was clearly not a fumble by Saquon Barkley. It shouldn't have been a problem, and the Eagles should have won by double digits. And coming off the Raven game to say, I don't know, is this offense good enough to be good in the postseason? It's getting old. And we forget this happened in 2022, Josh. Like, this happened big time in 2022, especially when Jalen Hurts went out. But even when Hurts came back, it's like, okay, is the offense going to be good enough? I don't know. And then they beat the brakes off of everybody en route to a Super Bowl. So I'm tired of it. I think they're going to be just fine. You would like to see a little bit more of consistency in the first quarter, sure. But they were very consistent in the Rams game. We've just kind of ignored that because they kicked a field goal instead of scored an opening drive touchdown.
Yeah, it's it goes back to, honestly, yeah, there's always something to talk about. And in the offseason, regardless, it's frustrating. I'll say that. But in the offseason, when there's not a whole lot, they're going to throw out some stuff like, oh, will this defense be good enough for the... We're so far into the season now. I was questioning the same thing. Is like, you see the type of topics we're throwing out there, like, well, hey, the team's playing well, but you can't just leave it at that. It's got to be, right. But, is the offense good enough to win playoff football games? They're good enough to win regular season, but when it comes to playoffs, it's like, some people want to doubt that. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, though, to me, Thomas, because you look at in the postseason, especially if Philly gets the home field advantage throughout. Like if it's home field advantage throughout, that is obviously best case scenario, but especially the way this team plays. But look in the playoffs. Like, what typically and traditionally is the thing that you can hang your hat on in the playoffs is if you have a strong defense and you have a strong running game. Because how many times does all of a sudden, even if you can throw the football, you get to the playoffs and things get a little bit more difficult. And if you don't have some way to impose your will and play physical and out tough and out physical another opposing team, then you can forget about it. And so to me, I'm like, if anything, it tells me this team has more of an offense that can play in the playoffs as opposed to what we're seeing in the regular season. Yes, they need to fix the first quarter starts, but to this point, it's not like, and people want to say that they're frauds. Oh, well, they haven't beaten anybody. They haven't, everybody. Sorry, Baltimore. Like, what do we call Baltimore now? What do we call all these other ones as well? Like, because we can throw out Green Bay and Cincinnati and Washington, and some of them you might argue and go, well, they're not as good. They weren't as good because they always want to discredit as soon as Philly beats them. But regardless, like in terms of offense versus defense, especially, it's 3 of the top 4 offensive teams that Vic Fangio's unit held to under 20 points. And so, I don't know what else you want to ask for from this team. You get them in a game at the Link, cold weather. Good luck. So we're looking at the worst run defense teams in the league. And there you go. That is the number 32.
It's not good.
Last place, Carolina Panthers.
It's not good.
Not a good omen playing the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you have Saquon Barkley, the only caveat that I would say is to maybe not take his over is if this game, like you're saying, Thomas, if it turns into a blowout, your Kenny Gainwell picks lately might be the play, actually. So
it didn't hit this weekend, but you're right. If the Eagles start blowing them out earlier than like 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, whenever Saquon hit that touchdown this past week, the Kenny Gainwell over 13.5, higher than 13.5 rushing yards is almost a guarantee. So,
seems like
we'll see there. It's so fascinating when we talk about getting a fullback because He's not signed to the active roster, as you said. He'll get 3 activations in terms of the practice squad to the active roster. He played in 3 games before he has to be signed, hence why CJ Uzomah essentially was signed, because Uzama's practice squad or elevations, I should say, were over. But there are basically 3 types of running football teams in the National Football League, Josh. There are the running football teams that have a good offensive line and an average to below average running back, right? So the offensive line creates great holes. Running back can't help but run through them, and they're a good running team. Next is what Saquon Barkley was on, a bad offensive line, but a very good running back who creates lanes himself. He sets up his blocks. He hits holes that you don't necessarily see, and hence why Saquon had 1,000-yard seasons, his rookie season specifically, with the Giants. And then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a great offensive line that creates insane running lanes, plus a running back who creates his own running lanes, and it's the perfect combination. I think Philadelphia, like you said, ran I formation, offset I formation, used the fullback and run plays 20 times so far this season, averaged like 6 to 7 yards per carry, and when this would be great in 28-degree weather at the link in January in quarter number 4. This would be exactly what the doctor ordered in a 1-score game with 6 minutes left against the Detroit Lions, and you need to run the football to win. Put the fullback in, create the lanes. Saquon finds them. They hit another home run. The game's over. So,
Yeah.
Gotta like it. And the fact that Howie was able to go find somebody is a credit to Howie, who's had, I think we said this in 2022, his best offseason. This is feeling like the best Howie offseason maybe of his entire career, which is pretty wild.
It honestly might be, and you're right. It is wild, but yeah, you look at all of the acquisitions, the draft picks, and really you go back to a couple or several guys that, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of us have been questioning, are they going to play up to the level? Can you get a Nakobe Dean? Jordan Davis has looked much better as of late, played more snaps, definitely huge in the run game of slowing down or limiting Derrick Henry. So you go back and like the draft picks that he's had, I'd have to find the official tweet, but I think that Anthony DeBona had posted of like
I saw that
rounds 1 through 3 over the past 3 or 4 years have been a much better than even like a year ago, but certainly 2 years ago we were going, I don't know, like some of these guys are iffy. Are they going to make a significant impact? And now you're starting to see it of like, this is phenomenal. And you also have 2 of the highest graded linebackers in the NFL, and they're both in the Philly, or they're both on the Philly defense. So kudos to Vic Fangio. I know to Bobby King, to all the guys there, but you really can't say enough about what they've done with this squad, with this unit. Yes, it's the players making plays, but they deserve a ridiculous amount of praise for what they've turned around in this defense, especially Vic Fangio, from 30th ranked to first in the NFL. It's just nuts.
And myself and Josh Davis will be live for Eagles versus Panthers on Sunday afternoon, so be sure to go ahead and subscribe to the notification bell and join the 3,000 concurrent people who watch every single Sunday with us. It's like a Eagle fan hangout from the comfort of your living room, so of course go ahead and check that out. I'm Thomas Mott. Keep the 1 seed. It's slim, but dream alive. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.